Hey everyone, so this is my third time recording. The first time I recorded, it didn't save. The second time, the volume didn't work. So hopefully, third time's a charm. But yeah, sorry for having it. It's gonna be uploaded really late, and I know a lot of y'all wanted to upload it, so I'm sorry about that. Really trying here, but so we're gonna do this really, really fast, and let's get to it. So we're gonna start off by doing a problem statement, and we're start by reading it, but it's saying that you were to create a program to track purchases at a hardware store, calculating the tax and the number of items purchased. So at the end of it, you're gonna be giving out the purchases, the price, the tax, and the number of items sold. So the number of items you kind of purchased. There's gonna be two classes, and we're gonna start by reading with the first class. It says this class is called the hardware store. So you're gonna do public class hardware store. Remember, variables are camel case lettering. However, the first letter for the class has to be capital whenever you're naming a class. Then it says there's gonna be 6 attributes. So let's do the brackets, and then they're gonna be private because you just have to know that they're private because you're not going to use them for another class, so they're going to be private. Also, the only data type that is capital in the beginning is a string. All the other ones are lowercase, so we have to remember that. I'm going to name it purchased item because it's just what I want to name it. You can name it whatever you want. You know it's a string because if you look at the bottom, you can go and it says fan and lamp, so that's a string. And then for price, you know it's a double, and for tax, you know it's a double because it's a decimal point. And you can use float or a double, but I know I've looked at Nine's past quizzes, and he has always used a double, so I say use a double. Sorry, I just kind of copied and pasted it. I did it like a couple of times, so I saved it from the previous times. So I'm just gonna copy and paste it and explain it, so it's less time, and y'all don't have to sit there waiting for me to type everything. And then we did these 3. Now we're going to go on to number 4, and it's saying tax rate. So we're going to do the tax rate, and it's saying this amount will remain fixed. So when it says remain fixed, that's kind of like a weak key word for saying it's a constant. There are 2 types of there's two types you can use. You can have variable or you can have a constant. A variable is changeable within the code. So let's say right now I want to name price since the double. I want to assign price the value of $67.54. And let's say I do more code and then I get down here and I say no, I want to change price now to $72.54. So I can do that since it's a variable. But if I declare it a constant, then I won't be able to do that. Constants always remain fixed. And so whenever you write a constant, you know, the private like above, and then you're going to do final. Final is a keyword for writing a constant. So you always have to make sure you have final. And then you have the data type, which in this case is double. And then final is not written in camel case lettering. It's written in all caps. So make sure, like right here, I wrote tax rate in all caps. So make sure whenever you write whenever you write a constant, it's in capital letters. And then it does give you, all the other ones you're just declaring, but in this one you're assigning. So make sure you assign it 8.5%. So 0.085 because in Java we do decimal places of percentages. And then you're going to keep going and you're going to assign total amount sold and total items sold. And so then you know that these are going to be static because it says total. Total is a key word for static. So public static, and then the key data type is double, and then you're gonna do equals. Not equals. You can name it whatever you want. I'm gonna name it total sold amount. It's static because it's total. So whenever you're calculating the total or you're calculating for the entire class, then use static. That's kind of like a keyword. And then you're doing the same thing for items sold. So you're doing the total. So you're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to copy and paste it. Now, as you see here, I did equals 0. So this is a kind of like a good This is one thing that 9 will look for, and if you don't have it, he's gonna take off points. Whenever you're using count, whenever you're doing like items sold or like you're counting something, then you always have to assign it 0, and then when you go on with the code, it'll change. But from the beginning, you have to assign it 0. So that's why it's equal 0. And then we're gonna keep going on, and we're gonna create a constructor. And then we're going to create a constructor. So it says this class has 2 constructor methods and 5 additional methods. So first one is going to be a constructor method, and the first constructor will not receive any parameters. So that basically means it's not receiving anything. So how you write a constructor is you do public, and then you name it the same name as your class. So it's going to be public hardware store. And yeah, it's going to be public hardware store, and you just do the parameters. And within this, if it's saying it's going to receive something, then you would put it within these parameters. But since it's saying will not receive, you don't do anything. Then we're going to go in and we're going to do brackets, and we're going to do stuff inside of it. So it's saying set the attributes as followed, and it's basically telling you items purchased will be this and price will equal this. So now since you declared these two, you're assigning it. So I'm just going to copy and paste those. So as you see, I just assigned price items to whatever they said, and purchase items to whatever they said, and I assigned price to whatever they said. And I put semicolons in the back, and that's it. And then I'm going to keep going on. And I'm going to make this video as short as possible so y'all don't get tired of listening to me for a whole hour. And then it says calculate the tax and save the result in the tax attribute. So that's a key word. Whenever it says save the result in the attribute, it's basically saying calculate this and then equal it to the attribute, so it's tax. So how do you calculate tax? This is one thing that 9's not going to actually give you the formula to. He's just going to expect you to know how to calculate tax. And you can kind of guess because if you don't know, you can kind of just guess because, depending on what you have. You have the tax rate and you have the price, so it's most likely going to be tax rate times price. That's going to equal tax. Just a thing that you would have to, he would just have to know. He would just expect y'all to know. I don't know why, but yeah. And then C says calculate the total amount sold and increment the total amount sold. So how do you calculate the total amount sold? And then increment the total items sold. And then you'd assign it to its appropriate attributes. So what you're gonna do is for this one same for total items sold right here, your total amount sold. He's not going to give you the formula, so he's going to expect you to know it. So it's right here. It's total sold amount plus price equals tax. That's the formula for total sold amount. One thing with this is since this quiz is about tax, yours probably won't be about tax, so you probably won't have to memorize these formulas. Just something to know, yeah. And then it says increment the total sold, increment the total items sold. So what increment basically means +1 to it. So you're going to add +1 to it. And so it's item count, like we named it right here. And you're just going to do item count +1. You're just adding +1 to it. And that's what increment means. So whenever you see an increment, that's right. It's like a keyword. Just remember. Not a keyword. It's like it's kind of like a keyword. Just remember it. Whenever it says increment means +1. Yeah, we're done with this attribute. We have assigned it to its we have assigned it to its attributes, and now we're going to do a different constructor. So the second constructor will receive parameters for the purchase item and the price the item sold for. So you're going to start off by doing public. You're going to name it the class, so hardware store. And then within these parameters, you are passing in something. You are passing in the purchase item. So you're going to do string, and then I'm going to name it purchase item. However, you can name it whatever you want. And that's exactly why you declare it again, because this purchase item and this purchase item are two different things. That's why you're declaring it a string again. This one is going to be within this scope right here. It's going to be within this scope. And that's why that's why you can have it the same name, because this one is within the entire scope, like from here to like down there. Well, this one is just within the scope, so it doesn't clash. And so that's why you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it the same thing as the top so I can show you how to use this method. I mean, this, whatever this is. It's, yeah. And then you're going to do double, and then I'm still going to do the same thing for that. You're going to do price. Make sure string your capital. That's why it was like that. But yeah. And then we're going to go in. And what it's saying is move the parameter value to the appropriate attribute. So it's basically saying assign this to this. And the way you're going to do it is you're going to use this. And this is basically referring to the one at the top. So you're going to do this dot parameter, not parameter, this dot, let me copy and paste it. You're going to do this dot purchased item. And what this is doing is this equals this one, and this one equals this one. So you're equaling this one to this one now. So whatever you received, it's gonna be equal to price items, and you're gonna equal that to the one at the top. And that's what you're doing for price. So you're gonna get a price from the instant. You're gonna equal that price to that price, and that's why you use this. Okay, and then you go on, and it says calculate the tax. Save the result in the tax attribute just like we did here. Then it says calculate the total amount sold and increment it like we did right here. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. It's the same thing. And the reason it's the same thing is because whenever the instant passes in something, it's going to pass in looking for a string and a double. So let's say it passes in nothing, like in this instant there are no arguments, then it's going to pass there. It's gonna pass into this, and it's gonna calculate this. Let's say it's gonna pass in a string and a price, then it's gonna go into this, and that's why it's not gonna go into this and this. It's gonna go into either or, whichever value you get. It's gonna go into either or, and that's why you're kind of doing the same thing. And then you're gonna create a method. It says create a method to update the price of the item in the object. So this method, it's going to be called update price then, because you're going to update the price. So you're going to start off with public, and it's a void because you're not returning anything. If you are returning something, like let's say you're going to return like an int, a double, or something like that, then you wouldn't put void. But if you're not returning anything, you put void. That's what void means. And then it's saying that call the method to update the price of the item in the object. It will receive a parameter, and the parameter is price, so you're going to do double. And instead of naming it price like I did ahead, I'm just going to name it a different name to just not use, or not waste time, not get confused. So I'm just going to use a different name. So I named it revised price. Open up brackets. Okay, now it's saying back out the original price of back out the original purchase from the total purchase item amount. So when it says back out, I guess remember that means subtraction. So it's saying take out the original purchase from the total purchased amount, which is this thing. And this is the formula right here. So what it's saying is take out this from this. So you're going to do subtract that from that, and it's just take out price and tax. So you're just gonna change the addition to subtraction. I don't know why you're doing that, but we'll figure it out as the code goes on. But that's what it's saying. And then it's saying update the price in the object with the new price. So you're declaring this and you're equaling it to price. So that this price, I like to put this because we're using price a lot, and so for it to not get confused, it's always good to just use this so it knows you're referring to the class, what you declare at the very top. And you're going to equal that to revised price. Semicolon. Okay. And then it's saying calculate the tax and calculate the total amount purchased. So now you're doing the same thing as up here, except you're not incrementing, so don't add the incrementing thing. We'll find out after why. The reason I think you're taking it out is because, well, I'm not really sure. I think we'll find out after why you're taking it out and then you're adding it back in after. But yeah, this method is done. And then it's saying that there will need to be 3 additional methods: one to return the item of purchase, another to return the price, and one to return the tax amount. So what you did at the top was you set everything. So you set this equal to this, and you set this equal to that, this, and now you're getting it. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're returning it. Like, this is the get set method. You're setting it and you're getting it. So now I'm going to do the return. So now these are going to be 3 different methods. So you're going to do double, not double, you're going to do public, and you're going to do, since you aren't returning, since you are returning something, you're not going to put void. You're just going to straight up going into string, because the first one you are returning is going to be items purchased, which is a string. So you're going to do string, and you're going to name it get item purchased. You can name it whatever you want, but I'm just going to name it get. Or I'm going to name it top. Oh, I named it get purchased item. So I'm going to name get purchased item. P has to be capital. And then you're into the parameters. And then inside these methods, all you're doing is you're returning. So you just put return as purchased item, and that's referring to the one at the top. So you're getting this purchased item from you're getting it from these constructors, and you're going to return it to the top. No, I think you're getting it from the instance. You're getting it from the instance. You're going to return it to the top, and that's when these will also be equal to the price. That's when you use this. Makes sense? Okay, and you're going to do the rest. So whenever it says return, you're doing the rest. Doing string, this one's going to be lowercase, this one's going to be double, and you're going to do get price. And then you're going to do return price. Same thing for the next one. You're going to be doing tax. I spelled double wrong. I'm just going to copy and paste tax because it's going to be the same thing. Yep, just the same thing for tax, because it said do the same thing for all 3. And then it says the final method in this class will display the output as shown below with the total amount purchased and the count of all items. So it's saying it's going to display this. It's going to display the total amount purchased from the top, and it's going to display this. And so we're basically going to use JOption pane because this is a message dialog box. So how you do that is first you're going to create a method. So you're going to name it public. Hold on. I don't know what's doing that. Okay, but public, and then you're going to do static, and then you're going to do void. And since it's not returning anything, you're doing void. It's doing static because it's calculating the total. So you're going to be using static, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it print total sold. That's not spelled sold amount. And then there's nothing past in the parameters, so you can do that. Sorry, I don't know why it's doing that. I can do that. Yeah, that should help. So then within this, you're gonna open up your brackets, and you're gonna basically do JOption pane. So you do JOption panel dot show message dialog. And then how you write it inside is you first should start with no. Make sure you always remember no. And then you're basically copying this. So you're going to be doing this. How you're going to write? You're going to write total. Wait, let me just copy and paste, and then I'll explain it to y'all. Okay, what I did was I wrote total item purchased right here. and then I did equals to 95, and you don't really know it, so that's where you put total sold amount, which is going to be sorry guys, that was not, don't get me in trouble, that was actually not the exam, that was just a Quizlet for the review of the exam. I don't know if y'all can see that, but I don't know if y'all saw that, but total amount sold, and that's gonna equal, where did I go? And that's gonna equal okay, and that's gonna equal total sold amount. That's why you put plus total sold amount, because you don't know what the total amount purchase is right now, but it's gonna be within the total sold amount, so that's why you're doing there. And then you're gonna do /n because you're moving on to the next line. And the reason that both the ends are really together is because you're not putting a space after you go to the next line. You're just like going to the next line, and you're gonna start it from there. So that's why it's together. And then you do plus item count because you don't know what the item count is right now. It's eventually going to be 2, but you don't know it, so that's why you just put item count. And yeah, this is the first class. We're done with the first class, and now we're going to go on to the second one. Okay, this is the second class, and as we read, it says this class will have 2 methods and no attributes. So there's always going to be a main method, and you just have to know that, like, since in the other class we didn't write the main method, in this class you're probably going to be writing the main method because you're always going to need a main method, or you're going to get an error. But yeah, it's saying there's 2 methods, and this class will be named MIS 3D70 Quiz 1A Spring 2019, which I already did. I named it. And then this class has 2 methods. So we're going to start off by creating the method because we don't actually have attributes. So we're going to just start off with method. And sorry guys. So we're going to do public static void. Main is the name of a main method. You know how we're always, like, when we're writing methods, we always have, like, the name after the void. So for a main method, the name is main, if y'all didn't know that. I don't know, some people kind of get confused, so just wanted to put it out there. This, and then there's no semicolon after that. And then we're going to open up our brackets within the main method. And it's saying an instance of a new object class hardware store with no arguments being passed to the constructor. So you're creating an instance. How do you create an instance? You create an instance by naming it the same name as the class that you're referencing it to, and that is called hardware store. So how you're going to name it is you're going to do hardware store. And then you can name this whatever you want, but I'm going to name it item 1. And then you always have to use new. It's a keyword, so hardware store. Then you can name it whatever you want. Then you put new as a keyword, and then you reference the class again. So you do it again. So hardware store. And then it says you're not passing any arguments in, and that's why it's right here. Arguments is another word for parameters. So for instance, if it says you're passing in no arguments, it means within this you're not passing in anything. And then you're doing the same thing for the next one, but in this one, you're going to put in the 2 values, drill and 75.25. So I'm just going to copy and put that in for you. Right here. So I did the same thing. I named it item 2 this time, and you're going to be passing in drill and 75.25. And then it's saying, this is the tricky part. So listen to number 8. It's saying for the second object created, so that's this one, call the method to update the price. Since you're updating the price, you're calling the method, and it's saying for the second object, this is how you're going to write it. You're going to write it by going item 2, since it's saying object 2, item 2 dot, and you're going to put the name of the method that's revising the price, and that is called update price. That's the name of the method. So then you put dot update price. And then within that, it gives you the updated price, and that's 2.75. So you're gonna write 2.75 in here, and then semicolon, you're done. And then we're gonna keep going on and saying call the method described below, passing as its argument the first object created in. Okay, so this is confusing because we technically haven't created this method yet. The method that it's referencing to is this one right here, method 2. It's telling us to call this method, which we haven't created yet, telling us to call that method, and then pass in the arguments, saying passing the arguments of line 6, so passing in item 1, and then the second one passing in item 2, because it's saying 6 and 7. So as we do that, so to not confuse all, let's create the second method so we know what it's called. So let's just do that first. So it says the second method will receive parameters as object of type hardware store, and it will do the following. So we know we're calculating the total because you're creating the dialog box and you're calculating all this, so you're going to calculate the total. And so that's why you're going to do static, but since this is only for this class, you can do private, and then you're going to do static, and then you're not returning anything, so it's going to be a void. And then we can name it whatever we want. I'm going to name it display purchases. And then within that, it's saying you're in the parameters an object of type hardware store. So you're going to name it hardware store type. Hold on one second. Name hardware. And so now you know what the name. Let's just make it official. You're gonna put stuff inside after, but let's go back up to the top. Now let's go up to row 9, and it's saying call the method described below passing. So now you know what the name of the method is. We're gonna name it display purchases. So you're gonna call that method, and you're gonna put in the argument that's made in 6 and an argument that's made in 7. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna do display purchases, and you're going to pass in item 1 for the first one, and then you're going to do display purchases, and you're going to pass in item 2 because that's what it says. It says pass in 6 and 7, and then last one it says call the method in hardware store class. So you're calling a method that's in the hardware store, so it's going to be hardware store dot, and what method is it? Call the method display the total as described. So the total is going to be, you're calculating the total in down here, so the method name is print total sold amount. So you're going to do hardware store because it's the class, and then you're calling within that class you're calling in print total sold amount, and then there's no parameter, so that. And then now let's go on to this method, because we finished up the main method. Okay, and now we're gonna go on to the second method. Will receive a parameter as an object of type hardware store. So we did that, and then it will do the following. It will create a dialog box like down here, as shown below. It says as shown below, showing the details of the purchase of items purchased, price, tax amount, and all that. So you basically, what we did right here, where you're copying what's down here, that's what you're going to be doing the same thing for these two. However, it's only one of them. If you look at it, it's the same one, but it's two different people that have put in, it's two different responses, but it's the same dialog box if you look. It's just two different, values. So I already did it, so I'm just going to copy and paste it, and I'm going to go over it with you instead of me typing it. So first you start off with jOptionPane.show message dialog, then you're going to do null, and you're going to do item purchased, So that's the first thing at the top, and this should be capital. Okay, item purchased, and then you do slash, and you're gonna do plus get purchased item. And how you know, so as you see, this one is fan and lamp, and this one's drill. So how do you know which? You can't just put plus drill or like plus fan and lamp, because it depends on what the user puts in. So the way to know that is just putting, it's going to be through the item right here. It's going to be through, it should have an item. Yeah, it's going to be through the item, and it's going to be get purchased item. So that's right here. So you're calling the get method again. So remember how we said that the instance is going to pass to the constructor will save it, and it's going to pass down, it's setting it, and then it's going to get it, and it's going to save it. Since it says return purchase item, now it's going to save whatever you put at the top, because what it's doing is you're going to get it, you're going to take the instance, the instance is passing it to the constructor is saving it to the top right here. It's saving all this to the top. So it's saving 85.69 to the top, all that. And then what's doing down here is it's getting the purchase item that you're saving at the top, and it's getting it down here, and then it's saving it as get purchased item now. You get what I'm saying? It's going from here to the constructors are saving it to the top, and it's getting it, and then when you go down here, it's saying return purchase item, so it's calling it back from the top, and it's giving it a new name, get purchased item. And that's why you're going to call get purchased item, and you're not going to call like straight up purchase item. You're going to call it get purchased item for getting the value of that. And then it's the same thing for the next one. It's going to be for a purchase price, you're going to be calling the get price, which is right here, and then you're going to call the get tax for the next one. Now here's the thing to remember. On this one, we went over that for /n, since n and n are together and there's no space between, that is because as you see, there's no space in front of this n right here. Like n and t are in the same like row. However, if you look on this side, there's a space before the P, there's a space before the T, and there's a space before the I, because they're not in the same line as the top I. You see what I'm saying? And that's why when you do these N's, like /n, like the space, the escape sequences, there's a space between all of them. You see? There's a space between the N and the P, there's a space between the N and the T, there's a space between this N and I. There's a space because there's a space right here. So you have to look out for these small little details that he might trick you on. You have to read it really carefully. So that's exactly what you're doing. You're just copying this to that. Now, another thing to remember is this last one, the item's total price. You can't really calculate you have to put in the equation, and the equation for total price is adding the price plus the tax, and that's how you get the total price. And so that's what it's doing within here. It's getting the price, then it's getting the tax, and then it's adding it together. And there's a parenthesis on the outside, and it's saying that that will equal the total price. But yeah, this is the code for last year's quiz 1. And if you do have any questions on any of this, I do have code time on Monday from 4 to 5:30 in Student Center in room 231. It's called River Oaks. Please come there if you have any questions on this. And if you can't make it, then we also, you can email me at java@gmail.com. So java@gmail.com, or it's either java@gmail.com or it's uofh.java.miso. No, it's uofh.miso.java@gmail.com, or I think you can just put java@gmail.com. I don't know. Try both. Let's see what happens. Also, this week we don't have code times on Thursday, but y'all's exam ends on Wednesday, so I don't think anyone would show up on Thursday for my code time either way. But just in case, just want to let y'all know, it is Miso's Career Mixer. We do have 31 companies coming out, so please come out to that, and that's the reason we don't have code times on Thursdays. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this helped y'all. Have a nice day, guys.